I mean, I'd like to say, what the situation's really like, but I'll just say that, currently, they're very supportive. They're very aware, which is the biggest thing of what I do and how I do it. There's constant pushback and there's constant influence from them. I guess that, I just chalk it up because they care about me and because they love me. I'm assuming that's why it's like that. I'm assuming.
Right.
So it just is what it is. I have people who notice when I miss an episode, and I have people who contact me right away.
Right, because they want to make sure they stay on you for that.
Right. I know I have people who call me, and I know that we haven't spoken. I know that they call me because they just heard the episode.
Gotcha.
And they're like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, I mean, I do get support. Oddly enough, it'd be a lot of strangers. It'd be a lot of strangers, but I do have, people who support me.
Right. So dealing with podcasts, who would you say is one of your biggest, I guess, somebody that you look up to dealing with the podcast that probably inspired you to really get into podcasts?
Okay. Oh, man.
Yeah, you wasn't ready for that, right?
Sure I was, but I would say that, okay, I'm just going to say it.
Go ahead, say it.
I'm a huge Joe Budden fan.
Joe Budden?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the hugest. I get for some reason that's a joke and people joke on me about it, but I'm a huge Joe Budden fan. Like, sorry. I'm a fan. I go to the shows, buy the music, da-da-da. So at the time when I was contemplating having a podcast, he started having a podcast.
Right.
And so I'm listening to it. And it was just like, oh, it's like this.
Right. It just clicked. It just made it even click more.
Yeah, just click more. And I was just like, oh, I could get or whatever and do it the exact same way. Like, there were podcasts I was listening to, but it hadn't crossed into that urban market yet. Yeah. So once I'm listening to him, Rap Radar podcast, now I listen to Noriega's podcast every so often now. There's a lot of podcasts, for urban audience now. So once I seen that, I was like, oh, well, I'm doing it now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing it. I'm full steam ahead. And so, I continue to listen to him pretty much every week. After I listen to my own podcast a million times in a week and his, I'm pretty podcasted out. But there's a couple other ones though that I definitely make sure I listen to, just because either I want to support or because I listen to them regularly. But yeah, so definitely I'll name this podcast later. That's what it's called. Joe Budden, Rory, Marissa. The chemistry, it was just something that feeling that it gave to me, that was the feeling I wanted to give to somebody else.
Right.
So I mimicked, how they did it, which is, they didn't reinvent the wheel by any means.
Right.
But, I just felt like, this feeling that I'm getting from here, I'm carrying it on to my podcast and distributing it to my audience. And what was crazy is that, one of his co-hosts, Marissa, I actually reached out to her. She's super accessible. So I reached out to her, Marissa Mendez. She has her own podcast now. Marissa Explains It All. But so I reached out to her. She wasn't super stuck up or anything at all. She was super cool, accessible. She did an episode, and I told her, hey, you guys inspired me, da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it was definitely, that podcast for sure.
Right. And it's good that you said about Joe Biden was that extra push that you needed.
Joe Budden.
Joe, as you see, I've heard some of his music.
Right.
That's how you know a true fan. Like, hold up, it's correct you with the name, but he was that. Hold up, you ain't gonna mess up his name like that. I'm a true fan, so you're not gonna just.
They get me, man. They get me.
Oh, we're good. I do the same because Michael Jackson is my favorite all-time artist, so I understand exactly. I understand exactly. But he was basically that push that you needed to get you. Like you said, you listen to different other podcasts, but when you listen to his, it was that push that you needed. It's like, okay, I can actually do this now. Like, I'm ready to do this. Because like you said, you've been a fan of his music. You bought his music. You listened to him. You even listened to his podcast. So I feel like he was like that push, that extra push that, that you needed.
I mean, yeah, of course. Not to be just on a Joe Budden pole jock and spree, but his music is it's about a regular man dealing with regular things.
Right.
It's not overly braggadocious or overly, flamboyant in any sense of the word. I mean, yeah, he gets money sometimes, but sometimes he also finds himself in a jam. So, like, I mean, it was just, like it just felt natural, like, for me to, like, see him do it and then just feel for myself like, okay, well, I can do it too.
Now, I do got to ask this question dealing with that artist. The time when Kendrick Lamar had came up with that, when Big Sean had came out with that song and whatever, and Kendrick Lamar had that line, and obviously it definitely stirred up big commotion in the whole hip hop industry.
Right.
Like, and I definitely heard his response. Joe, I definitely heard his response to things that. So do you think, what was your input or take away from that?
Well, that's a loaded question, man. That's super loaded because first of all, like, I didn't appreciate the way Kendrick went about it.
Right.
You just did music with all these people. And really, I feel like, I mean, if you want to take it deep into my rabbit hole, like, they don't know what they have with Kendrick.
Right.
His releases are constantly botched up. He had, his music doesn't crack the like the top 10.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He might crack like top 200 or top 40, but they throw darts at the wall, and sometimes they stick and sometimes they don't. But all of these people that he named would, the same way that I just, did a huge, Joe Budden shout out.
Yeah.
He had all these people going around. Like, I remember like Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa, just different people like early. Like, hey, there's this guy, Kendrick Lamar, like, he's nasty. So for you to be like, oh, I felt like it was a sideways jab, and I'm super thick skinned. Like, my closest, friends, like, we say nothing but negative things to each other on a daily basis. So it's not like, I felt like what he said was in any way inappropriate, but it was just like, if your relationship isn't like that, then, I kind of felt like that was a sideways jab. He made some claims in the song, like King, saying King of New York and stuff like that. I mean, me personally, I don't care who the King of New York is. I'm not from New York, so I don't care who it is. But if you're from New York, you probably care.
Right.
That's like, what I'm saying? You probably care. So anybody from the tri-state area, I felt like was well within their reason to, intercept that. Like, I mean, anytime you try to position yourself at the top spot, it's a struggle. This is a power struggle. There's no just walking up to the top spot. So when you're saying you're the king of anything, he could have said he was the king of Uptown, and some other guy would have been like, no, you're not. I'm the king of Uptown, so it just doesn't matter. Once you position yourself at the top, then people are going to go at you, i.e. Drake. Like, once you position yourself up there, it's always somebody trying to, who wants to, who's gunning for you. So I felt like, he lit this match, and then, he kind of didn't even want to, like, deal with the aftermath of what happened. It was cool or whatever. I don't even think the verse was that nice. Outside of him saying the names, the verse was dope. I have a problem with Kendrick because, like, I felt like he put out, a lot of good music, and then he left me hanging for a long time with just the music he was putting out. Up until very recently, I'm like, okay, we back now. Now we, I can listen to this. This other stuff he was doing, I just wasn't interested in. But I mean, when Joe put his response out, I mean, he flamed it. I mean, he flamed it. He flamed it. I mean, he flamed it like he's prone to do.
Right.
So he flamed it, like, which is why, it's very rare people want to do music with him. Eminem, Royce, people, I mean, and to a degree, Kendrick, people want to make music with Kendrick because I have a theory that people want Kendrick to be in the position that Drake is in.
Right.
The powers that be want this for you and not you because, we play nicer together than me and this person.
Right.
I just feel like he's in a very particular, peculiar position. But when he wants to, he will flame a record. You know what I'm saying? He will flame it. And so, people don't want to do music with him. They don't want to do music, they want you on their song because of the exposure, but really, like, it's going to be tough. Like, it's going to be your song.
Right.
Like, if you do a song with Kendrick, if you do a song with Cole, Drake, it's their song. Like,
Right.
Jadakiss featuring Kendrick Lamar, all of a sudden, it's, by the end of the day, it's that new Kendrick Lamar. That's how it's presented.
Yeah.
That's how it's presented on the radio. Oh, it's that new Kendrick Lamar out,
Right. That's the only reason why they go to even listen to the song.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it's like, that's why people shy away from it. They want to because, I mean, who wouldn't? But it's also like, I got to pay you and then it's your song.
Right.
Like, like what? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't even get no spotlight.
I don't get anything.
You take all the spotlight plus you take the money.
Right, and you take the money. Like, this didn't do anything for me. It doesn't really, so.
Got you. Well, I'm in the building with my boy Splash right now. Definitely, if you guys are listening, we're going to open up the phone line. If you're a listener, that's definitely want to move in the same direction as doing podcasts and things like that. If you have any questions, comments, definitely call up to the station. The phone number for that is 704-919-3445. Once again, the phone number to that is 704-919-3445. We're about to go on a quick break, and we're going to be back with my boy Splash.
Joe, you ever notice, like, when you're looking at, like, a big girl picture, you don't never see her full body unless she's taking photos from, like, above her head? What the fuck is that about, bro? What is the angle called when the big girls take pictures from above their head? It's called the slim down look or some shit. What the fuck is that, yo?
Let's talk about these stupid ass bitches. First off, you know what I hate? Some shit that these hoes do. There's a lot of shit I really hate what these hoes do. But I really hate, one thing I hate what these hoes do is when you holler at a bitch and she be like, I got a boyfriend, he doing time. Like, bitch, I'm supposed to be scared of the pussy because your boyfriend in jail. Like, so what? Your stupid ass nigga got caught, man. And then I hate hoes that work at McDonald's and want you to take them out to eat all the time. Like, bitch, how about I meet you at work and we get us a 20-piece nugget and call it a motherfucking night? Bitch, you work at McDonald's talking about taking me to Red Lobster. Bitch, you done lost your goddamn mind. You better eat you some lunch and call it a motherfucking day. These hoes is crazy, man. Hoes is crazy. Aggravating assholes always wanting to talk all the time.
The Anne Friends podcast is so good. It makes me want to go home and suck my nigga dick all night long.
So first off, I want to let you know that the revolution should not be televised. So keep your ass off this TV and keep your ass off this website and off these damn social media sites. Stop telling everybody what you got going on every week. Stop telling your baby's father, mama, why he ain't shit through social media, via email. Keep your ass, matter of fact, take your phone. Take your phone and delete all the social media apps. The only app you should have is the Indeed app, trying to find out how you can get some more money. Well, that's what I'm asking you to do right now. And then secondly, I want you to stop eating 2 for $5 or them 2 for $10 at Burger King. Don't nobody care you getting 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49. No one cares. Arby has all the meats. You know where all those meats come from? Yeah, they coming from the gutter. So don't nobody give a fuck. And don't nobody care that your appetite is low, but you got on some J's. Don't nobody care about that. Don't nobody care you malnutritious, but you got all the goals on. Who cares? So, again, just wanted to stop by and tell you guys to do better. Again, if you knew better, you do better. So just wanted to let you know, stay off the Scooby snacks and have a good day. Snacks. Goodbye.
Splish, splash, splish, splash. It's the new wave. Splash Jordan podcast. It's your one and only girl, LB, and I approve.
What up? It's your boy, Jetlife Paradise, coming to you guys again from Taking Over Radio, and I have here my boy Splash in the building with us. Definitely dope guy. We'll just definitely talk about some couple of stuff while I was on break. So tell us, what other things do you have going outside of the podcast? Because what you was telling me got me psyched already. Like, so tell the people what other things you got definitely going for outside of the podcast.
Well, other than podcasting, I'm super into anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece,
yes.
Berserk, all the classics. I've been watching anime pretty much since the 90s, and I've been reading the manga, the books, the picture books, which are pretty much like Japanese cartoon books. I've been reading those pretty much since the early 2000s. One of my favorites, it ended, and it literally left a void in my life. Like, this was something I had done.
Yeah.
And not only that, I had a very strong relationship with a buddy of mine that part of the reason we're not as close anymore is because we don't have this to bond over anymore.
Oh my God. It's
right.
that deep.
It's that
deep.
Like
people don't be understanding when it comes to anime,
right.
It gets intense. Like, people
right.
don't know.
Like, the episode would come out. Like, well, we both read the book, so we would read